Hello, friends. Welcome to yet another exciting session where we are going to talk about object detection. But in this session, we are not going to talk about a new architecture to do object detection or extracting features out of a given image. But here we are going to talk about a framework which can help us create very robust object detection models and also the state of the art object detection models quite easily, that is called Detectron. So basically, Detectron is a platform or a framework which will help us create custom object detection models or also use their pre-trained models for our applications. Why do we call it Facebook Detectron? Because it is from FAIR. What is FAIR? FAIR is basically Facebook AI Research. So Facebook has an AI research group. This framework or this platform, that is Detectron 2, is a work of this research group. And this platform is basically, as I explained before, aimed to be the next generation object detection and segmentation platform. So it is worthwhile to wet our hands and use this module or platform in order to create custom object detection model. This platform is implemented using CUDA and PyTorch. So the implementation of this is done, or this framework will help us implement CUDA and PyTorch, which uses state-of-the-art neural network architectures. So in short, the Detectron 2 is a platform which will help us implement on our GPUs, on CUDA, and using PyTorch state-of-the-art neural network architectures. Also, on this platform, you will find pre-trained on various datasets, for example, COCO dataset, models for object detection, instance segmentation, person key point detection, and other usages. So why is it so important that though we have a very robust platform of TensorFlow, why are we again using another object detection framework? The one more basic or very important advantage from industry point of view is the licensing scheme of Detectron. So all the library and the pre-trained models are released under Apache 2.0 and under CC BY SA 3.0 license. So basically the library and the pre-trained models are released under these licenses. What does this mean to us? As a data scientist, what it means is we can use their work, and not only use their work, we can just modify the existing code and use it for our private, scientific, and even commercial purposes. So most licenses or most packages, they don't allow us to use their pre-trained models especially for commercial usage. But here Detectron 2 has allowed us to use their models even for commercial packages or commercial purposes. The only thing which they ask you to do is to provide them credit. So you may just provide a credit that the models used are modified or have been used using the FAIR framework. Provide the appropriate credit to FAIR. That is the Facebook AI Research Group. Now, one more keyword which had come up here was PyTorch. What is PyTorch? Now, all of us are trying to do deep learning here. Now, deep learning has a lot of public interest in its application or in AI. The reason is very simple. Deep learning has been successfully implemented in various products. We have used facial recognitions, many other object detection modules for our daily use, which are implemented using deep learning architectures. So deep learning has deep interest, and deep learning is also proves to be successful. Therefore, deep learning is one of the important technologies that is allowing us to build things we couldn't do earlier. Therefore, that is why all of us are motivated to learn more about it, because we see good applications of it, and it's going to change how things work in the future, though it is making an impact at the present, but that is just tip of the iceberg. Things will change rapidly or exponentially in the coming future. Therefore, we all are learning deep learning frameworks, and mostly these frameworks which are running with Python. Now, what are the libraries available? We have prominently learned in this course the TensorFlow, which is backed by Google. So Google has provided a lot of libraries in TensorFlow or packages, models, state-of-the-art CNN architectures and RNN architectures, sequential learning. They have provided us all those libraries under the umbrella of TensorFlow. We can implement it using Keras also. We have other frameworks like MXNet. We have most recently, if we can add to it, we also had Caffe2 before, and now most recently we have something known as PyTorch. The PyTorch in 2019 especially, it became very popular. People were even telling it or gauging it to be the TensorFlow killer. It had various advantages over TensorFlow. So in short, we'll not go into gung-ho about PyTorch, but yes, PyTorch is a very neat implementation to do deep learning, and it is worthwhile. If we have to learn another alternate package to TensorFlow, PyTorch is a good framework or library to learn about. This is exactly what Detectron does. So Detectron 2 will implement in its backend PyTorch. So if I can give a very crude example, it's like Pandas. So Pandas has at its backend codes working based on NumPy arrays or Matplotlib, but it's like a wrapper around the NumPy and Matplotlib. Similarly, PyTorch, or you can say Detectron 2, is kind of a wrapper for using PyTorch object detection modules. Now, it also has its own implementations, or it also has additional models, but essentially it will implement PyTorch models for us or library for us. Now, TensorFlow Cleaner, I have already informed you, as it was user friendly and very easier to use. Didn't need to go into a lot of tensor level details, etc. But it was very easy to implement, use. The models which came out were very robust, and it also optimized the use of GPUs. So it had its advantage, and people were thinking even it may kill the TensorFlow usage. But that's not to happen. TensorFlow has kept on updating itself. Therefore, but it's a good package still to learn about, and it's backed by Facebook. So obviously it is also having a good development cycle. One more thing which I can add about PyTorch is that not only it makes deep learning easy, from a research point of view, what I could see was that researchers around the world, they are using PyTorch to implement state-of-the-art literature or research. So within the research community, PyTorch is being used a lot in order to research or experiments various things, various architectures. And this can be seen as a trend when we go to different conferences or we see the recent list of papers coming up. In fact, you may also see that most of the literature on computer vision, especially, you will find ready available codes for its implementation on PyTorch. So that is another advantage of PyTorch. Apart from the technical use, it has been widely adopted within the literature group or research group. So therefore, I can say PyTorch has built a strong community. I will say that, who are very fanatic about using PyTorch over TensorFlow. Now, let us focus back on the topic of our interest. Just to give you a brief history, obviously Detectron 2, as the name suggests, has evolved from the Detectron project of Facebook. Actually, so the Detectron project actually started by a work wherein they wanted to benchmark the masked RCNN. So you will find during the hands-on session also that especially for the segmentation models, Detectron 2 is highly preferred in the industry community. Now, what has happened in Detectron 2? Why it has rekindled more interest towards its use? The reasons are it is flexible and extensible. It is able to provide fast training. So these are the advantages I'm saying about Detectron 2, especially over Detectron version 2. It is flexible and extensible, able to provide fast training. Also, if I can add here, fast training on single GPU or on multiple GPU servers. Obviously, Detectron 2 has updated itself with the state of the art, and if I may use, high quality implementations of object detection algorithms, including, which we will learn during the hands-on session, including the state of the art dense pose algorithm and panoptic feature pyramid networks. So these are some state-of-the-art algorithms which can detect the objects in a given image. So apart from the regular images or regular models like fast RCNN, faster RCNN, mask RCNN, it also has additional state-of-the-art object detection algorithms, that is dense pose, panoptic feature pyramid networks. Also, if we can add, as I said, it has numerous applications or implementations of mask RCNN model. Also, on the technical side, what are the improvements in Detectron 2? One is PyTorch implementation. Detectron 1 or Detectron initially was implemented in Caffe 2 framework. So now it is entirely on PyTorch implementation. I've already listed the advantages of PyTorch. It is more intuitive, imperative programming model, and it allows the researchers to iterate more rapidly. So basically, it will allow us to experiment more, design more, because it has faster implementation and more robust implementation. So now we have listed what are the advantages of Detectron and Detectron 2, what were the improvements on Detectron. One more important feature which I feel we should understand, or when you do hands-on, you'll get a better feel of it, is that Detectron 2 has quite a modular and extensible design. So in Detectron 2, a modular design that allows the user to plug custom module implementations into almost any part of any object detection module. So it is like you can do your research very easily using this implementation of Detectron 2. So if I can write that, it allows us to plug in case required, our own custom modules into almost any part of the object detection system. So if you want to make any change, we can do it. If you want to bring in a new equation, if you want to do a new research, we can easily implement using Detectron's current framework. And this is something which is very important for at least a researcher, where they can easily separate what they have developed and the core of Detectron 2 library, so that they can implement their research. So this modularity of Detectron 2 gives us a lot of flexibility. As earlier stated, that Detectron 2 has now various implementations, that is new models and architectures or features have come up. Especially it supports Cascade RCNN, which was not there in Detectron earlier version. Panoptic I have already listed, FPN and Tensor Mask. So it has added more algorithms, that is Cascade RCNN, Panoptic segmentation, FPN, Tensor Masks. All these were not implemented in the earliest version. Obviously, it has also implemented at the developer level or at the code level better implementation in terms of using the hardware. Dense pose is always there, wherein you can detect or estimate the human pose predictions can be done using dense pose models. So all these models have added more, or we can perform more tasks with Detectron 2 as compared to Detectron. And the speed and scalability part of it. The entire training pipeline now in Detectron 2 is on GPU. So which was not there previously in Detectron. So Detectron 2 has made it more robust in terms of speed and scalability as compared to its original version of Detectron. One more thing is not only one GPU, it can use multiple GPUs, what we call distributed training on multiple GPUs. That also is very easily implementable in Detectron 2. So therefore, if you actually use it for your industrial or production use, it can be scaled, or the scaling can be done very easily using Detectron 2. And lastly, those who have some academic interest, they can also look into Detectron 2 Go. Now, this Detectron 2 is an additional software layer which has been implemented by the Facebook AI computer vision engineers. What it does is it makes it easier to deploy new models to production. So this is a software layer developed by Facebook CV engineers and makes it easier to deploy. Suppose you want to deploy a new advanced models to production, it makes Detectron 2 Go is that feature or inbuilt in Detectron which makes it one more additional advantage over Detectron. So what does this do? These features include standard training workflows with in-house data sets, what we call network quantization and model conversion to optimize formats for cloud and mobile deployment. So once your model is created and you want to quantize or you want to convert your model so that it is optimized for a mobile application or for a cloud application, Detectron 2 Go, that software layer will be making it easier for us. I hope all of you are now very excited to apply this learning or use this framework or platform to actually create object detection models. So in this module, we have learned about Detectron 2 and what goes behind it, what is that working in the backend. As said earlier, original version was developed in 2018 by Facebook, and now version 2 has come up with a lot of significant changes. We have already learned what are the significant changes. It has been built using PyTorch, and it has new capabilities like panoptic segmentation, dense pose, cascade RCNN. It has also rotating bounding boxes and some few other implementations which will make it more robust in terms of a platform to be used of choice for doing any research or creating new models. It is faster than earlier version. We have already understood in depth about that. Now, how do we use it? What are the dependencies? Everything we will now learn it doing hands-on session. So we will start the hands-on session wherein first we will learn what are the dependencies required for Detectron 2. So we will run or use, as said earlier, that Detectron 2 has been implemented for GPU for CUDA. In case your laptop doesn't have it, don't worry. We are going to implement on Google Colab, which provides us with free GPU. So we are going to use Google Colab and Detectron 2. So if I have to tell you in short, it's the best of two worlds. You're using the platform of Google Colab and you're getting the framework of Facebook's Detectron 2. So we are going to use it on, implement it on Google Colab. What are the requirements? Everything shall be explained in the hands-on session in details. Also, in this hands-on session, we will first learn how to implement or how to use the pre-trained models. So what we will do is we will use the pre-trained models on COCO dataset, one implementation on say mask RCNN, for which it is quite opted for. As I told earlier, that mask RCNN implementations have a wide usage on this platform. Then we may use the dense pose model for human pose estimation, and we may also look into one more model implementation in this platform, which is unique to it, is panoptic segmentation. So what we will do, for the same image, we will apply these three models using Detectron 2. Once we have finished this, that is, we have used pre-trained models on our data, what we will next do is we will, if I can say task 2 of our hands-on session, we will implement or we will develop custom model which detects the whales on a given image. So we have a list of annotated images. What we will do, we will use those annotated image, and using Detectron 2 we will develop a custom model. We may look into fast or faster RCNN here. As you can see in the screen, this is the official GitHub repository, of Detectron 2. It is a development from the Facebook research group and is one of the more robust framework to use object detection or for object detection. Especially, it is known for its segmentation models. In this session, we are going to apply Detectron 2 for various case studies. So initially, the first hands-on session which we will carry out will be on using the Detectron module or framework for inferencing only. So what we will do, we will call the pre-trained models, like for example, the COCO dataset models of Detectron, call the pre-trained models and apply it on our data. So we will pull in some data and we will try to apply the Detectron 2 for it. If you remember, the same pattern we had used for YOLO, wherein we applied the YOLO object detection module first to inference various images. We had inferenced images that we got from our local machine, or we may have scrapped it from the internet. So today's session will not focus on that. We'll just focus on how to inference an image using Detectron 2. Later, we will use this framework to train a custom dataset. So what we will do is, we will show you or we will gather a custom dataset on whales. We have an annotated image dataset for whales. Just imagine that we have annotated these images from that tool, and now we are going to use that images in order to train or develop a model which can detect the object of interest, that is whales, in our images. So I guess the agenda is pretty clear. We are going to have initially just to test whether Detectron we are able to call it properly, call the models. We will inference a pre-trained model, and then once we are sure about that, we will carry on forward and create a custom data set or custom model trained on a custom data set. Let us start with the hands-on session. In this hands-on session, we are going to use the Colab platform. Let us now understand the dependencies required to run Detectron on the Colab platform. As I had showed initially in the session itself, this is the GitHub repository that we are going to use, and all the installation instructions are mentioned here. But just to avoid confusion, we will go step by step in order to explain you how we can have the Detectron environment on our Colab platform. So the first thing we will do now is, let us install the dependencies. The first dependency required is the PyYML package. So we may install it using pip3 install, or let us use pip install here, PyYML equal to 5.1. Now there are requirement of other dependencies such as PyTorch and OpenCV. In our case, that is when we are using the Colab platform, both the packages are pre-installed. So that is one of the advantage of using Colab. You have certain packages pre-installed into the system. So instead of installing it, what we can do is we can straight away go for importing the PyTorch. So Py import torch, torch vision, and we need to verify which version of PyTorch is installed in our Colab platform. So for that, we can write the command torch dot underscore underscore version underscore 2 times torch dot CUDA is underscore available, and we can check the GCC compiler version. So you may see that PyTorch version 1.8 is installed here, and this is the version of CUDA which is available. In order to run this version, it is written not, it is false. So we may have to install the required CUDA in order to use the PyTorch. Now, as all of us, we are using another implementation of object detection modules, that is PyTorch. PyTorch is backed by Facebook, just like how TensorFlow is backed by Google. PyTorch is backed by Facebook. We already had a walk-in or walkthrough of what PyTorch is and what are its advantages in our theoretical session. We are now implementing that in this. So we have still not installed the required dependency of PyYML. Let us install that. Now let us start again by importing Detectron. It can be seen from the import which we had done earlier. We have the PyTorch version 1.8 PyTorch version 1.8 and CUDA, we have the version 10.1 installed. This is 10.1 installed. So 10.1 is installed. Now, the important thing to note here is you may have been given here what version of PyTorch is compatible with what version. So if you see that, what version of CUDA? So here, if you see in its official documentation of Detectron 2, that PyTorch 1.8, which is pre-installed in our Colab 1.8, is compatible with CUDA 10.1, which is also installed in our system. So whenever you are starting with using a framework, always have a habit, or it's a standard basically, to go through its installation steps and try to understand what version of the framework is compatible with what version of the dependencies. So here it's always useful to verify this before importing the packages. So here we have verified that Torch 1.8 or PyTorch 1.8 is compatible with CUDA 10.1. So we need not worry about using PyTorch or the environment required to use PyTorch in our Colab environment. In case you need to install any of this version of PyTorch, you have been given the command in its official documentation. We can always use that command in order to install the required versions. Let us move ahead. I'm just recalling Torch import requests assert Torch version starts with 1.8. Now, why I have given this command? Because in case what happens is you may use Colab say after 2 months. By that time, Colab may have upgraded its packages. So you may not have the Torch version 1.8. You may have the higher versions or a different version. So we just need to assert that we are using the Torch version 1.8. Now let us install the Detectron 2, which we are going to apply today for our object detection. Pip install Detectron 2 -f. So let us now use the link from where we will download Detectron 2. So Detectron 2 is available on this link. We have passed on that URL here. Let us now run it. So it is installing Detectron 2. As you can see here, it has been clearly mentioned by Colab that once you have installed these versions, you may have to restart the runtime so that the packages get reloaded into Colab environment. So let us restart the runtime here. Let us now import all the required packages into our Colab environment. Import Detectron 2, import OS, import sys, import NumPy. These are the common libraries we require. Import OS is done. JSON, we may require JSON. OpenCV, so let us do that. CV2 and random in case we want to randomly collect or randomly generate numbers which we can use in order to extract random images from our dataset. Same package was used in our YOLO object detection module also. From google.colab.patches, import CV2 show, import matplotlib.pyplot as PLT. And now these are the common packages which we are importing. There are certain utilities which we require from Detectron. So let us call that also. From Detectron to import Model Zoo. So Model Zoo is the module in which all the pre-trained models are available. We are saying please bring in those modules into our Colab environment. From Detectron to .engine import default predictor. From Detectron to .config import get_cfg. The config file has been called, the default predictor has been called. Yes, now we may want to visualize our inference. From Detectron to utils.visualizer import visualizer. This will be used in order to visualize our inferences. From Detectron to .data import metadata catalog and dataset catalog. So this one, when we do our custom object dataset training, we will require to register our dataset with Detectron 2. So in that point of time, this is the one which we will be requiring in order to register our annotated images or the custom data sets which we are going to use and infer it or train it on Detectron 2 module and import equals. Let us check it if everything is importing correctly. Perfect. There is no error. It means that Detectron 2 has successfully installed in our system, and also all the dependencies which are required are available in our system. Now, let us first start with running a pre-trained Detectron model. Before we do that, let us download some images from the web which we will use for inferencing. Definition web images. I'm just writing the scraping module links or downloading module y equal to 1 for link in links. So links will be the input to this method for links in links. R is equal to request dot get link. We had used the same module or same concept in YOLO. While doing YOLO, we also had scraped from the web certain images. We are just repeating the same here. Whatever input has come, %I dot jpg and y as f dot write r dot content and f dot close. Let us tab it inside and then increment the variable y. You can do it using plus equal to 1. I forgot a colon here. Yep, y equal to 1 indentation error is here because we did put the colon. We may have to indent all our code writing here. Looks good. Let us rerun it. Invalid syntax WB with open. I did close the JPG file here. I think this should be good. As you can see, I had minor debugging issues. We always face that time to time. We need to debug it and ensure that the method has been created properly. Now, the links which we want to open, I have created a list of it. Let us just use that here. So these are the images located on the web which we want to download. So these links we can pass into our definition in order to download these images from the web. So let us call that method web images links. Yep. Just to ensure that at present what folder we are operating on, let us run %pwd. So we are operating from the content folder. What I want to do is I want to check whether whatever I have downloaded is viewable or it has downloaded correctly. So let us just write a for loop for that. For I in range 1 length of links plus 1 img equal to call the input images, print the image. So we are using OpenCV in order to read the image and show the image. So the images from input 2 has not downloaded. Let us recheck that. If you can see, I had re-indented all my code except this one. This had gone out of the for loop. So there was no any increment. What we need to do is we need to indent this properly. I have done that. Let us check now. So there were 4 images which were planned to be downloaded. I got only one of them. That's why this error has cropped up. Let us now rerun this. Let me make I capital here, web images, and let me call the same unit. And now let us check how many images we have downloaded. So you can see now image 2 also has been downloaded. Up to image 4 we have got images. So 4 links we had provided, we have been able to download those 4 images. We can refresh the folder here. You will see that all 4 images have been downloaded. Now that we have downloaded the images to be inferenced, what is left? We need to import the Detectron model which we want to use for inferencing the images. So we will now call the model which we want to use for inferencing. CFG is equal to get underscore CFG. This is, we are calling a method get underscore CFG which will return a class and create an object of it in CFG. If you just hover around this, it will take you to that method. So it will return a Detectron CFG node instance. It has been told here. If you want to source the code, view source of the code, you can also call that and it will take you to that code also of Detectron. So basically, I'm just showing you how we can look at the source code of Detectron 2 by using Colab. We just hover around it and it will take you to that link where the source codes are. In case you want to make changes to the source code, you want to study more about the source codes, how it has been developed, what is the coding pattern for it, you can go and have a look at it. Currently, we need to call the methods inside the class, and this is the syntax for the same. So this is the standard syntax which you have to write in order to call the models. For example, suppose here you find all the Detectron 2 pre-configured models we have in Detectron 2. So ImageNet pre-trained models, the models have been pre-trained on ImageNet are found here. The COCO instance segmentation baseline models with mask RCNN. So these are the models which are used for instance segmentation. These are widely used. So Detectron mask RCNN models are widely used because of its robust performance. You may also have a look which model to choose. That you need to look at average precision, and also you need to look at inference time and see which is good for your application. For example, I may want the inference time to be lower. It means it can infer your images more faster, but it may come at the expense of a lower box average precision. Typically, anything near 30 are considered good models, but anything above 40 are considered very good models. So you may have to balance as per your requirements which model to choose. So we have various models which are available in PyTorch. We also have few extra models like the Panoptic FPN models. We have Elvis instance segmentation baseline models with mask RCNN. We have various other models also which are added into Detectron 2. It will be worthwhile to understand the performance of each models by applying them to different images, testing them with different images, or testing with your own custom data set. Suppose you want to infer using a COCO model a particular video, it would be interesting for all of us first to try out various models, check how the inferencing is happening on your edge device or on your local system, how it is giving the performance, and take a call which model to choose. So now let us call one of the model, which is the COCO instance segmentation mask RCNN R50 FPN 3x model. So we are going to call that model here. So we are calling the model from the model zoo, which is COCO instance segmentation model. So you can check here in the official documentation, COCO instance segmentation R50 FPN model. R50 COCO instance segmentation R50 FPN model. You have it here, the 3x version. We can click on that and you will have a look at the configuration file for that. So we need to pass the weights file and we can change certain configurations here for that pre-trained model. So let us set the confidence of the inference. What will be your object? What will be your threshold for your model at which you will accept the object detection? So let us keep that as model.roi underscore heads dot score underscore thresh underscore test equal to 0.5. So we are setting the threshold for the model. Let us now set the model weights, model.weights, which we want to use along with this model architecture. So we are using a pre-configured weight, that is model zoo.get underscore checkpoint URL, and we will pass on the weights file here. So we will copy paste the same thing which we have here, but here it is going to get the checkpoint URL and download the model weights for us. Now we will create a variable which will use this configuration and start predicting for us. So let us name that variable as predictor equal to default predictor and the configuration. Let us run to check if everything has gone well. There is an error. Name model is not defined in line number 5. I made a mistake here. It should be model underscore zoo. Then we have the no CUDA GPUs are available. Let us look into the runtime settings. Runtime or edit. Let us look at notebook settings. If you can see here, the mistake we had done was we had not enabled GPU. So it is giving us an error that no CUDA GPUs are available. The code is configured to run on a GPU platform. We had not provided that platform. So we had to change this hardware accelerator to GPU. Let us save it and now run this again. So if you remember that, I had told you that we need to verify whether the GPU is available or not. And here when we had checked that, it was coming as false. We had to recheck that whether the hardware settings were configured or not. Now it's saying that name get underscore CFG is not defined. Let us check why. Have we not imported that package get CFG from Detectron 2? Here it is there. Let us rerun this to ensure that it has been imported well. No module name Detectron 2. I got it. So here we had in between the session changed the notebook settings to GPU, which has resulted in all the runtime getting reset. So we may have to rerun all the codes which we have written. Let us do that. Now you can check this has been coming as true. I skipped this step and it has resulted us into rerunning all the codes. And these are the typical errors or bugs which we get when we are running the codes for the first time. So with this, we have now learned that whenever we check this, we need to ensure it is true for using PyTorch. We need to reinstall Detectron. It will ask for a runtime restart. Let us do that. Let us run this now. The error still persists. Let us restart this again. I think it has imported all the required packages. Pre-trained Detectron model. We are importing all the images again. Links is not defined. I need to run this cell as well. Now we will call the method, the for loop, just to ensure that all the images have come up well. So we are using OpenCV in order to view our images. There are 4 images which we are downloading. Now we are going to call our Detectron model. You can see now it is downloading this file, that is the PKL file, the weights file, and then the model is ready to be used. So now we have a predictor which we can use to inference our images. So let us use this predictor in order to inference our image. So for I in range 1 comma length of your links plus 1 to include the last image, path equal to current folder, print path plus the input image number i.jpg, wherein we have the I to be filled as the loop, and then we will show the image. Let me copy paste from the above and now check run this. Show image is not defined. We need to define our image. Now, as you can see, our model has been downloaded with the weights, that is 178 MB of file, which contains a weight of a pre-trained COCO Mask RCN R50 FPN3X model. Now, let us use this model in order to infer our images, the 4 images which we have downloaded. So, we shall write a method or a function for that, that is definition show underscore image path extra equal to false, again the semicolon, I am equal to cv2 dot I am read, and the path and the outputs will be equal to the predictor, and it will input the image. So it will take this image and it will give us the output. Now what does output contain? The output, if there is an extra, if extra means what? If there is actually object detected, let us print the class, the outputs. Let us print what class it has predicted and also print the boxes, the coordinates of the object. Now, once the images have been inferenced by this line of code and we have printed the classes and objects and the coordinates of the objects, let us now visualize the image, visualize the inference. So for that, we have a code or a package or a method already available, that is visualizer, and we just need to pass on the inferenced image, and we need to pass certain more arguments, that is the metadata catalog and the scale of the visualization. And then we will say out is equal to, we will use our variable v in which we have called the visualizer, and we will now draw the instance predictions in our system by typing in raw underscore instance underscore predictions, and then we will use OpenCV to get the image. Let us check whether this has been developed properly or coded correctly. You can see there is a invalid syntax, so this needs to be closed. Let us check it now. Again, we are getting invalid syntax. So this one was the extra one which we had to take out. Now we are getting the error in visualizer. Has no attribute raw instance predictions. It should be draw I typed in raw. Let's check now. Outputs is not defined. Outputs is equal to predictor IM. It has been defined. Now that we have written the or developed the code in order to get the image which we have inferenced along with the classes and the coordinate from the model, let us now run this code to check whether it has been developed correctly. Now, you may all think that this is some rocket science going on, that how do we know which package to call or which method to call? We have all these listed in the official documentations of Detectron. So how do you get the output? All the codes are suggested here in the official documentation of Detectron. So we have just picked up from the official tutorial or the documentation of Detectron, learned from it, and we are applying it here. The official documentation of any framework which has been developed needs to be read thoroughly. This is for Detectron 2, we are showing you a demo, but suppose there is a Detectron 4 which comes up in the future. The syntax may change. It may not remain the same. So in that case, we should have a habit of looking at the official documentation. In today's age and time, there will be some official videos which the framework may release. You may also want to have a look at that. Let us now use this method to inference the four images. So I will be writing a loop for that. For I in range 1 length of links plus 1 colon the path is equal to the current path. Print is path plus the images I will be calling them. So they are named as input 1, 2, 3, 4. So I will be printing those images, and then these images, I will print on them the show image, the image which comes out after the inferencing. So show image, and we will pass on the path of where the image is kept. So we'll do this now. We'll run this. And if you check, it is printing that input one image, the path to it, and then it is inferencing it. You can check here that it has been inferenced correctly all the objects. Let me minimize or zoom out of it. So if you see here, person 100%, it has detected this person with a 100% accuracy. The book has been detected. The bench has been detected. Similarly, here, if you check the different classes like the horse, the person's moving here, the person sitting here, and the person's moving here. If you can now see the relevance of it, I'm very sure that even a human eye may not have noted these persons standing behind this board very correctly. So you may now see the relevance of Detectron 2 and especially its mask RCNN models or the segmentation models, how accurate or robust they are in detecting even the hazy objects like these ones. You can check all the birds have been detected. Many birds which are having blurred or hazy features, they are not detected. So there is still some scope of improvement here. All the persons in this image seems to be detected with good amount of accuracy. So this is something which we all need to understand that first, whenever you use a framework, use that to first inference the standard models which are pre-configured inside that framework. So what we have done, Detectron 2, we have checked it with the COCO segmentation model. Now let us move ahead and create a custom model. Later, we can also in the session maybe again use another pre-configured model, maybe not a segmentation model, maybe we can have a object detection models. But let us first train a custom data set. As I had earlier said, first we will use a pre-configured model and then we may use a custom data set, train the model using Detectron. Let us start the next part of this video. Now that we have seen how Detectron 2 used the pre-trained COCO model, a segmentation model, to accurately detect the objects in the four images which we downloaded from the web, let us now look at the other built-in models. So before we create our custom model, that is we create a model wherein we train a custom data set, let us now have a look at few other built-in models. So we shall have a look at the other types of built-in models. Again, we may as well as use the standard template. That is, we first call the configuration class get underscore configuration and we configure which model we want to use and the weights we download for that particular model. Let us again use this pre-developed code which we have already used in our previous case study. Let us use that. What we need to do here is just change the model which we want to apply. So instead of the mask RCNN model, we want to use the RCNN model. So when I mentioned about the model zoo, this is the exercise I want all of you to try. That is, try on the same images, different models. So here now instead of the segmentation model, I am using the regional CNN model. Let us change the path to the weights so that it can download the weights for a pre-trained model on the COCO dataset. Let us call another model. So let us run this, giving us an error. Here there is an error. Instead of YAML, we wrote YAM. So I need to add an L here. I do that. And now you can see what it is doing. It is downloading the weights for the key point RCNN R50 FPN model. So it is downloading the weights of that. It is approximately 237 MB. We have downloaded the weights, and now we will use this model or this predictor which has been loaded with this architecture and its weight to inference the same four images. So let us do that. Suppose this is the image I want to infer, input1.jpg. As we had done here, these are the standard codes which we require in order to visualize our inference. Let us copy paste this here, the visualizer, make the indentation correct. But before this, we need to infer the model. We need to infer the image. So outputs is equal to, how do we infer? We infer by using our predictor. So outputs is equal to predictor and IM, that is the image. So this image we want to predict. The outputs is the variable which will get all the inferencing results and store it in outputs variable, and then we will use this output variable in order to visualize our inference. Let us run this. Can you all see? Within couple of minutes, we have a very complex model loaded in our system, and we have used it to detect an object in our image, that is the person. And also if you see, it has the pose estimation model built in inside it, which will help us identify what position this person is in. So we can use such kind of models. So this is also known as inference. Which kind of model is this? A key point detection model. So first we use the segmentation model. We have used the key point detection model. One more model which we can use here is the panoptic segmentation model. I think now you are all well versed. Try to infer it yourself before you move ahead with this video. Let us now infer using the panoptic segmentation model. As I told earlier, you just need to have the standard syntax of codes. We have already developed that. We use that. What we need to change is the config file. Let us use that config file. So this is the panoptic segmentation model which we want to use for our inferencing. Now we have the predictor loaded with this panoptic segmentation model. It is downloading the weights for it, which is 261 MB. So this model, this architecture has been trained on the COCO dataset. We are just downloading the COCO dataset using this pre-COCO dataset trained weights for this model. Now let us use this predictor in order to inference the same image. We can call the same codes. In panoptic segmentation, the visualization will be a little different here. You can check the documentation. It mentions that we need to call another class or another method. First, we need to get the panoptic segments info, predictor IM, predictor. We want to inference the image which we have defined here. We have defined the IM, that is this input one image. We want to infer that using the panoptic segmentation. So instead of outputs as the variable, what we have done here, panoptic segmentation and segment info, two variables we have been defined for panoptic segmentation. We then call the visualizer. We draw the segmentations or we draw the inference. Here instead of instant predictions, what we have to use is panoptic underscore seg predictions. And instead of output instances, we will use the panoptic segment variable. So we shall replace that with this, and comma, we need to pass the variable segments underscore info. And then we will show the inferenced image. Let us run this now and check whether everything has been developed correctly. So you can see that this is the panoptic segmentation model. It has identified the bench, it has identified the pavement, the person, the book, the grass behind this, and the trees. So if you see, it has more details than the other models. It has more details than the segmentation model. It has more details than the key point detection model, where the key point obviously is focused on the person and its pose estimation. And now we have the panoptic segmentation, which segments the whole image into different objects. If you want to explore more models, I would strongly suggest go and check out the different models available in the model zoo, and you can check how different models are behaving. Detectron 2 is a good tool to do that very easily and very accurately. Let us now start with the next part, that is creating a custom model. Now, before creating the custom model, first we will have to download the custom dataset. So we will be downloading the whale dataset. As I had told you initially in the session itself, we will create a model which will detect the whales in the images. Now, the annotated images of the whale dataset, we have kept it on our Dropbox. Let us download it directly from there. This is the link for the same, and -2 unzip whale.zip. Let's use this, and we need to pass the exclamation mark. So what it is doing, it is downloading the whale dataset which we have already annotated. As I explained earlier, the annotations have been explained to you in a different video wherein we discussed about visual object tagging tool. We have used that platform in order to annotate the images. You can see all the images are there, JPG images, and each image has also a TXT file, which is basically the file containing the annotations. Now let us read the annotation in file, that is the TXT file for each of the image. We will have to read that. So for doing that, we will write a method for the same. Let us do that from detectron2 dot structures import box mode def get whale dict, and we will pass the path of the image, and then we will list the files in this path os dot list directory, and the path, let us initialize a variable 1 -1, and then data set underscore dict equal to empty list. Now we will read all the files in the directory. For file in files, if file -4 colon equal to dot jpg. So what files we will read? Only those files whose last four is dot jpg. That is what is the relevance of this code. Then what we will do, we will increase the index by 1, and then we will create a dictionary record, empty dictionary. We will read the file name os.path.join and path underscore file. So this is the path where our image is kept. We will join the path and the files. The height and width of the file. Then we will add the key and variables, record file underscore name, the image ID, the file name. We will record the height and record the width. And now what we will do, we will start reading the annotations of those files. We have learned till now how three different object detections models, which have been trained on COCO dataset. One is a segmentation model, the other was a RCNN model, and the third one was a panoptic segmentation model. We used these three different models to infer the same image and showed you how different object detection models are inferencing the videos differently. So this may have given you confidence on how to use Detectron 2 in order to inference with a pre-trained model. Now let us use Detectron to create a custom model. In order to create a custom model, we will require a data set. So the data set we have already annotated and kept it on our Dropbox. How the annotation is done, all of us are pretty clear with it. So we have used that annotation tool and annotated our images. The annotated images have been downloaded. You can check here, the annotated images have been downloaded from this Dropbox. So the annotated images, the folder you can see has been downloaded, that zip file, and we have unzipped it into whale. You may also note that the folder contains a JPG file inside a whale folder and the corresponding TXT file with the same file name, but a different extension of .txt. This txt file contains the annotations data of the images. So step 1, we have downloaded the Whale dataset, and the data, it also contains the annotation data of each image, that is .jpg image, in a txt file. So how that txt file is created? We have done that. We have downloaded it. You can check the whale.zip file, and whale file is shown in our folders in our Colab environment. This is an important step. Once your data has been downloaded and you have your annotation with it, the next challenge is how do we read the custom annotations and bring it, or rather register it with Detectron. That the annotation file needs to be read in a format which Detectron can understand. For that, Detectron has already given us in that tutorial how you can read the annotation file. So what we are doing here, we are creating a definition wherein we just pass the path where the image is kept. The image is kept in the Whale folder. We will pass this path. What this definition or method will do is, it will read the file, it will read all the jpg files inside it. If you can see here, we have started a for loop, and if the last 4 extension is .jpg, it will read that file, and corresponding to each file, it will record in a dictionary the file name, the id of the image. It will create an id of that image. It will note the height and width of the image. Similarly, so there are two parts to it. One is in step 2, what we are doing, basically we are reading the image and storing its data in a record dictionary. The second part of it is we will read the annotations, each of the image that is present in a .txt file. Now here one important thing which we need to mention is that the annotations can be given in different formats. I may choose to give the annotation in this format, wherein I mention x mean, y mean, I mention one of the coordinates, and I mention another coordinate, that is x max and y max. So if you give this to information, then obviously we can calculate the width and height, and therefore we can calculate this coordinate and this coordinate. So one format of giving the annotation to Detectron is x, or let me write it here. This is known as the XY mode of annotation, and the other one is we can just mention XY, that is x mean, y mean, and we can give width and height. Therefore, you can easily calculate, or Detectron easily calculate these formats. So we need to mention to Detectron what format have we given the annotations. So what it does, it first opens the txt file corresponding to that file name. It will read the box that is the coordinates. But what format is the annotation given that we are mentioning here is XY. There is a single class here, so the category ID is 0. What we are doing, we are creating a dictionary for this. We are appending for each file the information in another list, that is objects, and then in the record dictionary we are appending all the data of objects under the annotations key. So at the end, the dataset underscore dictionary, the empty list which we had created, it contains a dictionary record for each file, wherein it records what are the file name, image ID, height, width, and it also records the annotation of those files. So dataset dictionary contains every information related to that image. So this is one function or a method which we have written in order to pass the path where our data set is there, and it will return the dataset underscore dictionary underscore dic. Next important step in Detectron is step 3, that is registering our data into the catalog. Whatever data we have, we need to register into the Detectron's catalog. So basically the configuration file should know that this file or this data set has been registered for us to be trained. So there are two main files for that, that is dataset catalog and the metadata catalog. So what we are going to do now, we are going to register our Whale's data by passing the folder, the path Whale into this method which we have created. It will return the dataset dictionary, and that dataset will be registered in the dataset catalog and the metadata catalog. So this is the format in order to register our custom dataset in Detectron. So our data has been registered in Detectron with this three set of line of codes. Once the data has been registered, it is very important for us to check whether the annotation format, whether the files, everything is being read properly. So what we are going to do, we are creating a variable dataset underscore dicts equal to, it will create an object of get whale dict this method whale. So all the files, all the image related data is stored in this variable. And once it is stored, we will randomly call any of the image from this variable and show it with the help of OpenCV. We will basically check whether our file is being read properly or not. So we are just doing that. If you see, it is correctly giving us the annotation where the objects are. So why this step is important? What happens here is, many a times it may happen that you may have given the data in a format which is not read. That may be one error. And the other common error is the annotations format. So instead of suppose XY, you may have mentioned XYWH or something else. Annotation format has not been registered properly or correctly. In that case, even though if you read the file is being read properly, but suppose the object is there here. So instead of annotating this part, what it will do, the annotations may reflect somewhere where the object is not there. For example, it may reflect somewhere here. So if it gets trained on this kind of data, it will take the features. Instead of it taking these features, it will take the feature of this part of the image. So we are just verifying whether our format is correct or not. So we have done that in this set of code. Next, in Detectron, if you want, you can activate TensorBoard in order to look at your training curves. This two simple line of codes in order to activate TensorBoard is here. Now, coming to the part where you will start the training of your custom model. How will you do that? In order to train your custom model, you require two files. So in this session, we are going to show you using transfer learning. So we are going to use a predefined architecture. In our demo, in our inferencing video, we had shown you on RCNN, on mask RCNN, and we had also showed you on panoptic segmentation. Now in this part, we are going to use a faster RCNN architecture. You can play around with it. You can use other architectures also. But for demo sake, we are going to use faster RCN. Obviously, it is more robust than RCNN. So we are going to use that architecture in order to train our model. You can check here, I am calling the architecture of faster RCNN. And in order to initialize the weights, we are going to use the weights of COCO dataset. So this will be updated after training. So step 5 is calling the model architecture and initialization with the weights. We have done that. Now what we will do? Step 6, we shall now do the training. So calling the model architecture, initializing the weight, and one more important thing, we need to configure in the CFG file the parameters and the hyperparameters of the model. So if you can check, the hyperparameters is learning rate. We are changing that. Per batch, how many images you want to throw? 2. Max iteration 300. How many batches you want per image, or batch size per image? 128. And number of classes we are mentioning is 1. There is only one class of whale, so we are mentioning that. So these hyperparameters have been mentioned in the configure file. Now you may think that we know how to set it up. As I said earlier, all this is well documented. How to set the hyperparameters, how to set the configuration file, etc. in the Detectron tutorial. We have got inspired from there. We have read the tutorial and are explaining you using that as our reference. So once your files or your configuration file has been set, it is very simple now. We need to use the default trainer. There is a module default trainer in the Detectron. We are just calling that and passing the configuration file. So it will understand, okay, we need to train the custom data set with this configuration. So trainer.train will start the training of that data set. So once everything is passed on, we will start the training of the data set with the configuration file, CFG file, and using default trainer. So we are using default trainer and configuring our file. It has printed what is your architecture. You can check here. It has printed the fast RCNN architecture. Here you can see it has downloaded model underscore final. It has downloaded that and then it has initialized the weights and started training. The number of iterations we had kept it as 300. If you check, initially the total loss was 1.516. At the end, it reached to 0.7886. Now, what we suggest is you can increase the number of iterations and check whether you can get lower loss or not. Right now, there is still some scope of improvement. You can try that. So our model was trained. After this model was trained, output folder is created. And all of you, please note, the main file in this among all is the model underscore final.pth file. This contains all the information of our custom model. It contains the weights and the architecture. Now what we will do, we will inference this model final. So we all know how to inference a file. We will just pass the model weights. Instead of initially we had passed the COCO dataset weights, now we shall pass the custom weights which we have got after training the model, that is model underscore final.pth. Whatever inference we get, we are saying we will only accept those which has a threshold of zero point 0.7. So all the objects which has probability less than 0.7 we will neglect, and we will only use those whose detection probability is greater than 0.7 with this weights. And then we will call our predictor, the predictor which we have trained. That predictor we are going to call, or we are going to create a variable predictor and default predictor CFG. So now we are going to use this configuration file to inference or predict on our images. In order to predict and visualize it, as explained earlier, we are going to use the visualizer mode. We will use this visualizer file in order to visualize the inferenced image. We are going to get the variable output in which all the predictions are stored, and then we are going to visualize it using visualizer. And this code basically, from data set, we will read any one of the file name, whatever randomly it selects a data from dataset underscore dicts. We will call the file name from that randomly chosen image. We will inference it using our custom model. We will visualize it using visualizer, and using CV2 we will check the visualization. So let me run this. If you check now, it has not been able to detect the whale here. Why? Because its probability may have been less than 0.7. It has not detected it. This means we have further scope to train our model or improve our model. Let us run some other image. So randomly it will choose some another image. It has not detected this image also. So the model is not doing well. Let us see where it will start detecting. Here also it has not detected the image, not detected. So it seems like it is not able to detect any of the image. Let us do one thing. Let us check that the configuration file is updated. Let us rerun this. I'm just rerunning it to ensure that it has read the model underscore final file. Let us now run this again. So maybe the configuration file was not updated with the final file which we got. I reran this cell in order to update our configuration file with the path of our custom model or custom weights which we have got, and now it is able to detect the whale. With low probability, it means it requires more improvement, but it is able to detect the whale in certain images. Let's run it again. Let us first run the model weights again and then run this. So it is able to detect the whales. So we may have to update our model configuration file and then use it for inferencing. What we can also do is we may write this code in one cell itself, so that there is no chance that this file path is not being read while predicting the output from the chosen image. Let us run this for a different file now. So it will randomly choose another file. You can see now it has detected the whale. It has not detected the whale here. Here it has detected the whale. So in certain images it is not able to detect, in certain images it is able to detect. Let us now do what we need to do as a data scientist, that is evaluate the performance of our model. This is important. Why? We may create new models, but we need to have a documentation of how our model was trained before. So evaluating the trained custom model. That is the step we need to do before training another model. So for that, we can use the Detectron2 dot evaluation import. We can use the evaluator of Coco evaluator, and inference on dataset. So let us call this module in order to inference on our dataset. Again, from Detectron 2 dot data import build underscore detection test loader evaluators. So we are going to use the Coco method used to evaluate whether a Coco data set has been properly trained or not. We are going to use that evaluator. We don't need to code that. We can just call Coco evaluator and pass Wales the box, the actual ground truth box, and the output which we are getting, it will read from that file. So we will pass that directory output here, and then we will write value loader equal to build underscore detection test loader, and we will set the configuration file and the data set Wales, and then we will print what we get inference on data set trainer dot model comma validation loader and evaluator. So we are passing the variables and we are telling please inference on this data set, and we are going to check whether the evaluation is done properly or not. It will now run the model. It will get the data for all the data sets in Wales. It will take the ground truth itself, and it will also evaluate your predictions and the B box and how much is the error there. So if you can check, the inferencing is being done for the 664 images. All of you now, you may be able to appreciate Detectron more. It has all the modules which is required for creating, visualizing, evaluating your model. So evaluation is also there as an inbuilt package inside Detectron, which we just need to call and it will do the work for us. So before training another model, we should always do the evaluation of the custom model which we have created. So at the end of this, it will give you what is the average precision for 50%, 75% of the data set, etc. If you check it here, perfect. So it has given you average precision is 40, at 50% what it is, 75% what it is. So at different levels, it has given you the average precision. What you can do is, we note this for every model we do. We keep a file, we keep a track of it. For this particular model, this was the average precision we have got. We train another model, we try to see what is the average precision we are getting with the another architecture, another model, is it better or worse, etc. So and so forth. With this, we come to an exciting end at what we have learned for object detection. So we'll end this session here. Thank you.